Okay, so who out there watches the Super Bowl just for the commercials? I have to admit, I kind of do. This year was amazing, but you know what's even more amazing? What those commercials can teach us about choosing educational products.
Really?
Yep. So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack how media literacy, the stuff we usually think about for helping kids online, can make you a pro at choosing educational tools.
Oh, interesting. So it's like we need to understand the game to appreciate the flashy plays.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we have kind of a playbook for it. Dr. Howie Knoff, he has this blog post about Super Bowl commercials and media literacy. And we're also using some articles on media literacy for middle schoolers.
I see.
Yeah, because just like middle schoolers have to learn how to decode media, educators need to be smart about what educational tools and products and resources they choose.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, okay, picture this. You're watching the Super Bowl, a commercial comes on, and there's this celebrity you love holding the latest educational gadget, promising amazing results. And you start thinking, wait, maybe this is what my classroom needs. Sound familiar?
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's how they get you, right?
Right. Like my brain just connects a famous person with a product, even if there's no real connection to quality.
Yeah, it's like our brains just automatically link those faces and products together. It's like, well, it's psychology, really.
Like that time I bought those workout leggings endorsed by, well, you know who.
Yeah.
And let's just say I didn't magically become an athlete.
Yeah, they make those commercials to tap into our emotions and to get us to stop thinking critically. It happens with educational products too, you know?
So how do we not fall for that when we're trying to choose good resources for our students? Is that where this media literacy thing comes in?
Yeah, definitely. Media literacy is about taking a step back and really thinking about the information we see, like evaluating it carefully, just like those middle schoolers learning to be careful online.
Media literacy for educators. That feels different than teaching kids about, like, internet safety.
Well, the idea is the same. We need to recognize biases, evaluate sources, and see if there's really evidence for what people are claiming, especially for these products.
We're kind of putting on our detective hats,
Yeah.
looking for clues.
Exactly. We need to ask the right questions. Remember that Common Sense Media article, the one with questions for middle schoolers? Well, Dr. Knopf, he says we can use those same questions to evaluate educational products.
Like how? Give me an example.
Okay, so instead of asking who made this message, like for a website, we ask who created this product.
No, I just Googled them.
Well, you got to go deeper, like what are their qualifications? Have they made other good products? And this is important, what's their goal? Are they really trying to improve education or just make money?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah, you have to be an informed consumer, just like with anything else you buy.
Okay, but sometimes the hardest part is all that jargon. I see scientifically based or evidence-based, and I'm like, does that even mean anything?
Oh, they do mean something, but it's easy to get lost in it all. Understanding the history and the actual definitions can help us figure out what's real and what's just hype.
Okay, so let's break it down then. Where do we even start?
Well, let's go back to No Child Left Behind.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that. Big education reform, early 2000s, and the big word then was scientifically based.
Scientifically based. Sounds very official.
Right, like it had to be rigorous, systematic, objective, all that experimental designs. It was the gold standard.
So if a product said it was scientifically based, educators could trust it.
Yeah, in theory. But things change, right?
Always.
So fast forward to 2015, now we have the Every Student Succeeds Act, and a new term pops up.
Ooh, a plot twist. What's the new term?
Evidence-based. It wasn't even in the old law, but now it's everywhere.
Why the change? Did scientifically based become, like, bad?
Not really. It's more like things evolved. Evidence-based means we look at lots of different research, not just experiments. The ESC, it even has levels of evidence, you know?
So, like, experiments are still good, but there are other ways to find out if something works, too.
Exactly. Education's complicated. Not every question can be answered with just a lab experiment, right?
Makes sense.
Hmm.
So, scientifically based is out, evidence-based is in. But wait, what about research-based? I see that one a lot.
Ah, yes, research-based. That one's tricky. Both the old and new laws use it, but they don't actually say what it means.
So it's like the wild card. Anything goes.
Kinda, yeah. That's why it's a red flag. When you see research-based, start asking questions.
Like, it's not enough just to see those words. I need to investigate the actual research.
You got it. Does the research fit the evidence-based rules? What methods did they use? What did they measure? And who did the research?
So if a company says their reading program is research-based, I need to see the actual studies, not just their marketing stuff.
Absolutely. See the data, how they did it, everything. You're making decisions for your students, so it's got to be good research.
True, true. This is helping a lot, actually. It's easy to get excited about a new product, but we got to stay focused on the evidence. Speaking of evidence, what about those red flags Dr. Knopf talks about? Like, how do we know if the research is really good?
Those red flags are so important. They can help us avoid being tricked by bad research.
Okay, let's talk about them. What about this overgeneralized results? What's that?
Okay. Imagine a study shows a new math app works great, but it was just a small group of kids in a lab. Then the company says their app will help all Ella students everywhere.
Oh, I get it. Like that weight loss shake that worked for one person on TV, so it must work for everyone.
Right, that's overgeneralizing. Always think about where the research happened and if it really applies to your students.
Makes sense. One study doesn't mean it works for everybody. What about
Yeah.
correlation versus causation? I always struggled with that in college.
Yeah, it's tricky. Correlation just means two things are related, but causation means one thing actually causes the other. People mix those up all the time.
So, like, how does that happen in education research?
Let's say a study finds that kids who use a certain software have higher reading scores. The company then says their software caused those higher scores.
Maybe those kids just had more help at home, too. The software might be part of it, but not the only reason.
Exactly. Like saying that because people eat more ice cream in summer, that ice cream causes hot weather.
Haha, good point. Okay, so we've got overgeneralizing and correlation versus causation. What else should we be watching out for?
Oh, there are a few more. We already talked about sample size a bit. Like a study with just a few kids, that doesn't tell you much.
Right.
It's like trying to judge all the cookies in a jar by just eating one. You get a taste, but not the whole picture, you know?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So when I'm looking at research, I should see how many students they studied AD if the group was diverse.
Exactly. And speaking of study design, there's another one. No control group.
Oh, yeah, control groups. I remember that from research class. But remind me, why are they so important?
Okay, so a control group is the group that doesn't get the new product or program. They're like the comparison group. If you don't have a control group, it's hard to know if the product really made a difference.
Gotcha. So if a company says our phonics program raised reading scores, but they didn't compare it to kids who didn't use the program.
Yeah, you don't know if the program worked or if something else caused the scores to go up.
Right, right. The control group helps us isolate the effects.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have sample size, control groups. What else?
Let me think. Oh, Dr. Knopf also talks about where the research is published.
Oh, yeah, like in a journal?
Yeah, not all journals are equal. Some are, well, not very good. If a company says their product is based on research in some weird journal I've never heard of, that's a red flag.
So I should look for research in well-known, peer-reviewed journals.
Definitely. Peer review means other experts have looked at the research and said it's good.
Like a second opinion from a doctor.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, you still got to think critically.
So even if a study is in a great journal, I should still look closely at how they did it, the sample size, all that.
Yes. Don't just trust it blindly. Be a savvy consumer.
This is kind of like watching those Super Bowl commercials. You can enjoy them, laugh at them, but you also know they're trying to sell you something.
Exactly. You can have fun with it, but don't let the commercials make your decisions for you.
And same with these educational products. We don't have to be fooled by fancy marketing. We can ask questions, look at the evidence, and choose what's best for our students.
That's the power of media literacy.
So, to everyone listening out there, how can you use these ideas in your work?
Well, I think it means being a lifelong learner. Always keep asking questions, evaluating, finding the best resources.
And it's not just a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Media literacy is something we do all the time with all kinds of information.
Yes. It's a way of thinking, of being critical.
It's like those questions from Common Sense Media. They can help us evaluate anything, not just products. Research articles, news, social media, even conversations with colleagues.
That's a great point. These are skills for life, not just for choosing products.
So as you continue on in your career, remember what we've talked about today. Ask questions, dig deeper, and don't be afraid to think for yourself.
Be a smart consumer of information. Be an advocate for good research. And be an example for your students as they learn these skills too.
We hope this deep dive has given you the tools to see through the noise, figure out what the evidence really says, and make choices that are best for your students.
And remember, you're not alone in this. Talk to other educators, share what you've learned. We can all learn from each other.
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.